Jewish Channel's Week in Review. The settlement freeze is over. Are peace talks going to continue? A billionaire's funding stirs controversy for a Jewish political group. Murder mars the high holidays in the Ukraine. And Ethiopian Jews finding their holiday traditions here in the United States. It's the Jewish news that's changing your world on this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. The settlement freeze has concluded, meaning change in the West Bank and a potential conclusion to the nascent Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. The 10-month freeze on new settlement construction was enacted by the administration of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the urging of the White House to promote the peace process. Just more than 3 weeks into direct talks with the Palestinians, the expiration of that 10-month freeze came this weekend, with construction crews already starting work Monday. It's now an open question whether peace talks will continue. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said Sunday, quote, "There is only one choice in front of Israel, either peace or settlements." Meanwhile, Netanyahu made statements expressing a desire to continue direct peace talks. Speculation about his government's future policy on settlements has suggested he may try to allow somewhat limited construction, which it's theorized could pacify Abbas if kept to certain limits. Meantime, there's internal controversy in the Jewish community this week over issues relating to the peace process. J Street, the group that describes itself as pro-Israel, pro-peace, and a left-wing alternative to AIPAC, has been revealed to have received significant funding from controversial Jewish billionaire George Soros. The Washington Times revealed a $245,000 donation made in the year 2008, and J Street acknowledged that funding as part of approximately $750,000 received from Soros, which it says comprised about 7% of its budget over the years. None of this would be worth reporting if not for the efforts J Street has made to distance itself from Soros in the past. As the Washington Times noted, J Street maintained a note on its website about myths and facts relating to J Street, stating George Soros very publicly stated his decision not to be engaged in J Street when it was launched, precisely out of fear that his involvement would be used against the organization. Efforts are now afoot from those on the right to get the White House and other elected officials to disassociate from J Street now that Soros' involvement in the group is known. Moving from that political conflict to a real fight involving Jews that escalated in unexpected and tragic fashion over the high holidays. The annual trip by Hasidim to their Rebbe's gravesite in Ukraine has been marred by multiple killings. Hasidim make a pilgrimage to Uman in the Ukraine during Rosh Hashanah every year to visit the grave of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. During this visit, the 200th anniversary of the rabbi's passing, conflicts between those making the pilgrimage and local residents resulted in violent injury, including death for one Jewish pilgrim and one local resident. The news reports are still filtering down, but the basic picture is one of a cycle of violence between Jewish pilgrims and local Ukrainians over the course of the high holidays, with one individual on each side left dead. The Jewish deceased has been identified by Israeli media. Shmuel Tubul was reportedly 2 months away from what would have been his wedding day. In domestic news of the high holidays as a source of celebration, while American Jews are concluding the high holiday season, there's one Jewish holiday you likely haven't heard of hitting these shores for the first time. Christian Needon reports.
Ethiopian Jews have been a growing part of Israeli society over the past 3 decades, but are just gaining a foothold in the American Jewish community. One very public display of their distinct brand of Judaism is their very own holiday, the Sigd. This annual holiday has been celebrated for centuries by Ethiopian Jews with traditions of pilgrimage, fasting, repenting for sins, and asking God to return them to Jerusalem. Native Ethiopian Ricky Malou remembers celebrating it as a youth.
In Ethiopia, the whole Jewish villages, they used to come together. They walk. Some of them, they walk a few days, in the villages, no train, no bus, and people walk to get to the Sigd, and they go up to the mountain and praying, dreaming to come back home to Israel. It's a day of celebration, day of peace, day of dreaming coming back home.
Ricky's organization, which represents a portion of Ethiopian American Jewry, is working with the 92nd Street Y to celebrate the Sigd beginning Friday, October 8th, with a Shabbat dinner prepared by Galil Restaurant and featuring kosher Ethiopian dishes. The celebration will also include Ethiopian Jewish rabbis, or Kesach, from Israel. Their attendance accounts for the 92nd Street Y's earlier than usual Sigd celebration.
Usually it's like 50 days after Yom Kippur. In Israel it's going to be in November, sometime early November. here we're doing it in October because we want to get the rabbis to come.
Finding kosher Ethiopian food in New York, where there are only about 500 Ethiopian Jews, was also a challenge.
When you have smaller communities like the Ethiopian community here in New York, there isn't any kosher Ethiopian restaurant. So one of the things that we've done at the 92nd Street Y Resource Center for Jewish Diversity in planning this program together with Ricky's organization, Hasidat Shmela, is to bring together a kosher restaurant and caterer here at Galil with an Ethiopian chef to be able to create authentic glatt kosher Ethiopian cuisine to be able to serve the Ethiopian community, Ethiopian Jewish community here, as well as the broader Jewish community in a Shabbat dinner and then a Shabbat lunch preceding the SIG program that we'll celebrate.
I talked with Ethiopian food consultant Zodi Faseha at Galil as she worked with the restaurant's catering planner to choose the proper ingredients for a spicier Shabbat menu than some attendees might be used to.
Yes, it is spicy, but we will do it mild one for people to enjoy it. We don't want them to burn themselves. Oh, I don't want to eat. I don't want them to say that. I want them to enjoy it.
And one of the dishes attendees will be enjoying is a kosher version of Ethiopia's favorite chicken dish, Doro Wat.
Doro Wat, a lot of onion, spice, the pepper, and the tomato paste, really cooked with olive oil. Then you clean the chicken and make right way, put it together and bake it.
The celebration will continue with a Sunday night program on October 10th, featuring an appearance by the Ethiopian-Israeli Beta dance troupe from Haifa, Israel, performing contemporary styles as well as traditional Eskesta Ethiopian shoulder dancing.
Dance, it's fun to watch. It's nice. It's connect everybody. You don't have to understand the language because it's movement of the body.
Ricky also said she hopes the event will bring together members of New York's small Ethiopian Jewish community.
In New York area, about 500. It's a small, but they're young. They need, they need support. They need help. They need to encourage to come to the community. So this is the reason why we start the organization.
And the 92nd Street Y hopes that non-Ethiopian attendees will come away with a better understanding of just how diverse New York's Jewish community really is.
SIGID and our relationship with the Ethiopian community here is part of it's just part of what we do as the Resource Center for Jewish Diversity. We are putting on a whole series of public programs, educational and cultural programs, together with and showcasing different segments of the community, and doing it through lectures and panels, through cultural events such as the SIGID, through food, really trying to engage the broader community in learning about its diversity and finding opportunities to connect with different segments of the community here.
Those interested in attending should contact the 92nd Street Y for tickets. Reporting for the Jewish Channel, I'm Christian Needon.
Thank you, Christian. That's all for this week. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable: IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.